Have you ever wondered why you keep making the same financial mistakes over and over again? You know, you could save more, invest wisely, and stop making those impulse purchases, but for some reason, you just keep doing it. Today, we're going to talk about financial self sabotage and the psychology behind why your brain keeps enticing you to make those same money mistakes. And most importantly, how you can break those patterns for good. If you've ever felt like you're your own worst enemy when it comes to money, this video is for you. If you're new here, I'm Julie, a former Wall Street investment banker turned finance coach. My goal is to help you demystify finance and attain financial freedom. Financial self-sabotage isn't about lacking willpower or just being bad with money. It's about unconscious patterns and beliefs that drive our behavior, often without us even realizing it. Think about it. How many times have you set a budget only to just blow it within a week or a month? Or maybe you've decided to take your finances seriously and start investing, but then you can't bring yourself to just open that brokerage account. These are not character flaws, and you're not the only one struggling with these things. They're actually predictable psychological patterns, and once you understand them, you can rewire your brain to make better choices. In this video, we're going to cover the 5 most common ways that people financially self-sabotage, how to identify the pattern, and ways to overcome them. The first way we self-sabotage is the comfort zone trap. This is when we stay in our financial comfort zone even though it's not serving us. An example of this is knowing that you should negotiate your salary, but continuing to convince yourself that you're just not ready yet. Another way this shows up is you tell yourself you want to learn about money, but then you keep avoiding it and putting it off because you're afraid to take the first step. The reason this happens is because our brains are wired to prioritize safety and predictability. Financial growth requires taking calculated risks and stepping into the unknown. This triggers our internal alarm system and puts us on high alert. Your brain then processes this financial progress as a potential danger, and its reaction is trying to keep you safe. The real cost of this is that staying in your financial comfort zone is actually costing you money. It's costing you better decision making and years of compound interest and growth. Staying in your financial comfort zone is actually fear masquerading as security. So how do you break this pattern? The key here is to take baby steps. Instead of trying to overhaul your entire financial life, take one small step at a time. This small step might just be opening an account and not even funding it yet, or researching one specific topic that you've been delaying. The goal here is not massive change. It's proving to your brain that improving your finances, educating yourself about money is not scary and is not going to put you in harm's way. Once you take that one small step and your brain realizes it's not that bad, slowly you can add additional steps and make yourself more comfortable overhauling your financial future. The second pattern of self-sabotage is what I like to call the success punishment trap. This is essentially undermining yourself when you start seeing things go well. A lot of people call this self-sabotage. An example of this is finally building up that 3 to 6 month emergency fund and then finding some non-emergency reason to go and spend that money. It can also look like getting a raise and then allowing yourself to inflate your lifestyle just because your income increased. Or maybe it's making progress on paying off your student loans and then you take on even more debt in a different aspect of your life. The reason why this happens is because a lot of us deep down really don't believe that we deserve success or happiness. Or maybe we think the good things in our life just won't last. If you grew up without money, financial success can feel threatening or scary. Because it feels unfamiliar, your brain will create an environment that will pull you back into something that you're familiar with. Instead of allowing you to enjoy this progress and this success, your brain will pull you back into a more familiar state, even if that familiar state is failure or stress. There's also this thing called upper limit problems, which is our brains have a set limit on the success that it believes we can attain. If we go beyond that, or sometimes even just close to that, our brain will have alarm bells go off. It will say, whoa, we're almost at the peak of success. Let's start self sabotaging so that we can go back to a familiar place. This success punishment cycle often stems from imposter syndrome. You don't feel like you're someone who should have financial success, so your brain doesn't allow you to attain it. This is why manifestation works. If you convince your brain that you deserve something, you're more willing to allow yourself to have it. If you continue to unconsciously tell yourself that you don't deserve something, your unconscious will work to prove you right by not allowing you to have it. So, how do you break this pattern of self sabotage? The first step is recognizing when it happens. When do you start self sabotaging your finances? Is it when you hit a savings goal or a debt payoff goal? Is it when you get a raise and you suddenly need to fill that space with more spending? Figure out exactly when the self sabotaging part of your brain creeps up. Then reframe this self saboteur as normal rather than exceptional. Recognize that a lot of us have this cycle, but it's not something that we have to stay stuck in. Then reframe the way you see success. Think of it as a normal part of your life and something that you deserve, not just a one off occurrence where you got lucky. Tell yourself that you've earned this success and that you deserve it. Then create automatic systems that will make it harder for you to undo the progress that you've made. Link your automations to your saboteur. If you tend to self sabotage when you hit your emergency fund goal, keep your emergency fund stashed in a place where it's really hard to access it. If you tend to have lifestyle inflation anytime you get an increase in income, set up your automatic savings to match the increase in your income. The third sabotage pattern is perfectionism. Waiting for perfect conditions or the perfect knowledge before you take action. You see this when people take months to research the best investment strategy or asset allocation without actually investing anything. The people who delay setting financial goals because they keep weighing back and forth on what the perfect financial goal would look like for them. We have this saying in finance that perfect is the enemy of good. If you're always trying to make everything 100% airtight perfect, you're missing out on progress and growth. Perfectionism tends to be fear masked as thoroughness. If you never start, you never risk making mistakes or failing. But if you never take risks of failing or making mistakes, you're not going to grow or learn. The opportunity cost of being a perfectionist is all of the days that you miss of market growth. So, how do you overcome perfectionism? Your budget does not need to track every penny. Tracking major spending categories is sufficient. Your investment portfolio does not need to be optimized on day one. Start with a simple index fund. Do your research and slowly add things and refine your asset allocation over time. If you're researching something, give yourself a time limit. For example, you have 1 week to research the optimal investment plan and then make the investment. You can continue researching after you've done it and refine if necessary. Remember, you can refine your approach as you go and as you learn more. What you can't do is recoup lost earnings from time spent overanalyzing before you invest. Celebrate small wins, even if you didn't fully hit your goal. Saving $200 this month when you had a $500 goal is better than saving $0 this month. This progress is still worth acknowledging. The fourth pattern is using money to manage your emotions, which creates cycles that undermine your financial goals. Emotional spending can show up as shopping when you're stressed or when you're sad. It can also show up as buying things to celebrate achievements. This can also show up as spending money to keep up with the Joneses. The psychology behind this is money becomes an emotional regulation tool instead of a tool to build wealth and to create the life that you want. When spending money provides temporary relief from bad emotions, your brain then learns that every time you're in a bad mental state, you should reach for your wallet. This obviously creates a sabotage because emotionally spending can directly conflict with your financial goals. You say you want to save money for a down payment for a house, yet you keep spending all of that money on random shopping sprees. So, how do you break the emotional spending cycle? Anytime you're about to make a non essential purchase, ask yourself, what am I hoping this purchase will achieve? What am I feeling right now? And what am I hoping that this purchase will do for me emotionally? The second thing you need to do is to develop alternative emotional regulation strategies. If you're feeling upset or down or some negative emotion, and you notice the urge to spend money out of emotion, try managing that emotion with another healthier action, such as going for a walk or calling a friend or trying to journal about it. If you still want to make the purchase after dealing with your negative emotions, you'll have a clear mind to better make that choice for yourself. Another way to help combat emotional spending is to give yourself guilt-free spending money. When you know you have money allocated for enjoyment, you'll be less likely to overspend when you're in a negative emotional state. The final pattern is the all or nothing state. This is the belief that if you can't do something perfectly, it's not worth doing at all. This manifests as completely giving up on your goal after making one small misstep. You give up budgeting entirely after overspending 1 week. You stop saving altogether just because you couldn't hit your goal. All or nothing thinking treats financial management as a pass-fail test instead of a skill that you're developing over time. One mistake becomes proof that you're not good with money, and then you give up altogether. Mistakes are a normal part of the learning process. They're not proof that you can't do it and be successful. Financial success comes from consistency over time, not one perfect action. Someone who saves imperfectly for 10 plus years will be far ahead of someone who saves perfectly for 6 months and then totally gives up. So, to combat the all or nothing trap, you need to shift your mindset to progress thinking. Reframe your setbacks as data points rather than failures. If you overspend 1 month, think about why it happened. What were the conditions? And what can you do differently in the future to avoid the same mistake? Focus on your systems, your automations, and your fundamentals instead of the outcome. Remember, making any change or creating any new habit takes time. Be patient with yourself as you develop these new financial habits. Every step forward is progress, even if it doesn't feel very big or dramatic. Now that we've identified all of these patterns, let's talk about a system for how to overcome financial self-sabotage. Step 1 is having awareness. Awareness of which of these patterns show up in your life and when they occur. You can't change patterns that you don't recognize. Start tracking not just what you spend, but why you spend. Notice when you avoid financial tasks or you make financial decisions that conflict with your goals. You're looking for patterns, not judging yourself. Step 2 is to give yourself some compassion. Self-sabotage often stems from you trying to protect yourself. Your brain developed these patterns for what made sense at the time. Approaching changing your patterns with compassion rather than criticism will get you a long way. Instead of saying to yourself, I'm so stupid, I'm so bad with money, why do I keep making these same mistakes over and over again? Approach yourself with compassion. My brain is wired in this way to try to protect me from threats, and now I'm going to work on rewiring it. Step 3 is to build small yet sustainable systems. Small changes implemented one by one are much easier for your brain to get used to. It takes time to build good habits. Give yourself the grace and take it one step at a time. Start small and simple at first, and then work your way up from there. Step 4 is to design your environment to set yourself up for success. Make good financial decisions easier and bad financial decisions harder. Remove shopping apps from your phone so that they're harder to access. Set up your automatic transactions so they happen without you having to remember them or to think about them. You should set your environment up to support your financial goals instead of creating an environment that requires constant willpower to resist temptation. Okay, so let's talk about specific steps you can take this week depending on which of these patterns you identify with the most. If you struggle with your comfort zone, choose one task that you want to complete this week and then break it into the tiniest first step that you can take. Then commit to taking that step this week. For success punishment, identify your financial progress triggers. Identify when you begin to self-sabotage and then set up some automated system around those triggers. If you struggle with perfectionism, choose one area that you've been researching instead of taking action. Give yourself a deadline to make a good enough decision and then stick to it. For emotional spending, before you make your next non-essential purchase, pause and then write down what you're feeling and what you think that this purchase will help you to achieve or feel. Then don't make the purchase for 24 hours. Wait until you have a clear head and then decide whether or not to make the purchase. If you struggle with all or nothing thinking, identify a financial habit or goal that you've abandoned and restart it this week. Make sure you lower your expectations. Focus on consistency rather than the outcome. Financial self-sabotage isn't a character flaw. It's a set of learned patterns that you have the power to unlearn. The key is understanding why your brain developed these patterns in the first place. What was it trying to protect you from? Then gently training it to support your financial goals instead of working against you. Your relationship with money is one of the most important ones in your life. It's worth the effort to make it a healthy one. If this video was helpful, please give it a like, subscribe to my channel, and feel free to share it with a friend. Also, let me know in the comments which one of these 5 self-sabotaging patterns have you seen appear in your own life. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.